We are here at Istanbul with Mr. Maximilian EDELBACHER, special investigator for AVUS Group. We have 1 day to go until the International Insurance Forum of 2013. Mr. EDELBACHER, is insurance fraud becoming an international issue? Should insurers from all over Europe, especially in the European Union, and on the other hand, in the Southern Europe and Turkey, because we're here today, should they worry about the phenomenon increasing?
Yeah, just now before the conference is starting, I'm not really clear. But I understand that the conference is here in Istanbul, and as we have met last year in Bucharest, I think it becomes a problem. And in my understanding, I am coming from a small country. Austria is not so big like Romania or Turkey. But even we are confronted with a lot of tourists, with a lot of transnational crime. And I think when I was young, in the 70s and 80s, we were just confronted with insurance fraud in the country. Now, in 2012 and later on, I think it becomes more and more transnational, international. And this, I understand, is because of the European Union, because we are out of borders. People like to move, especially young ones, and the economy is very transnational. And if the legal market is international, you always can understand and prove that very soon the illegal market, the crime market, becomes transnational too.
So you believe that one of the main reasons for the international spread of the insurance fraud is actually the European Union, who is expanding and allowing more countries in. Which is, in your opinion, the most exposed insurance segment to fraud? I mean, are we talking about motor insurance, life insurance, property?
Yeah, just now I think it's motor insurance. If you try to understand what is going on in insurance fraud, it always starts with motor vehicle insurance fraud. The history in Italy, in France, in Germany, and Austria shows this development because it's such a large market, and I don't know how many million cars are registered in Europe. In Romania and Austria, we have more than 6 million cars by a population with 8.4 million people. I'm sure in Romania it's much more.
No,
and in Turkey, it's not the same.
It's about 5 million cars to 20 million people.
There is the theory that about 5 to 10% of all cases, for insurance cases, 10% of them, maybe less, 5%, that's not clear in our country. We have nearly 10% are dealing with insurance fraud.
That is a high percentage.
This is a high percentage. In Austria, in the small Austria, we have 32 million cases, and if only 5% of them would be
32 million cases per year.
Per year, yeah, of just insurance cases.
Okay.
Yeah? And if only a small percentage is dealing with fraud, this is quite a high level of fraud.
From your experience, can you tell us if you have seen companies cooperate between themselves, or companies and local authorities, or even international authorities, to fight this phenomenon?
Yeah, there's a speciality because the 4 big insurance companies in Austria, for example, Vienna Insurance Group,
which is also present in Romania,
they have a high presence here in Romania or in Bulgaria, and they try to cooperate with their daughters in these countries. But beside this was my warning, even when I was allowed to speak in Austria. I said, don't see it just by your company. You have to cooperate internationally, because criminals have one ability. They learn very fast. They check out if an insurance company is prepared to defend against fraud, and they very soon learn that one insurance company is reacting not as good as the other one. And then the insurance company that is not aware of what is going on, is not aware about the capacity in insurance fraud, is more vulnerable.
But why do you believe that insurance companies are not so willing to cooperate with one another?
There's always
regarding
enormous
insurance
competition between insurance companies. Yeah? Even in the 60s, yeah, when I was just starting in this business, there was always jealousy in the different Austrian insurance companies, but I understand that happens all over the world, because they try to cover their customers, and they are very jealous that other insurance companies maybe have or will become a knowledge about other customers. And this was a big problem in animating them for a cooperation in between. And in my understanding, this is even a problem nowadays, that companies at first, because they make very good money expanding their market, but they are not so happy to tell their opponents their customs and their relations.
Actually, this is the situation right now in Romania, and I was asking you to see that from your experience, are there countries that use a mutual database regarding the drivers inside the country? Is there such a thing in Austria?
It's much better in Austria and in Germany, but to be honest, even there it don't work 100%, because it is always depending on the insurance companies if they
deliver the information.
Deliver all the information, because they decide very much, is this a very good customer for the insurance company? And then they have a tendency to be rather restrictive. They don't deliver all the data, even if they have some problems with a good customer. You can be confronted with the problem that not all cases are reported to the system, to the database.
Another topic of our conference tomorrow is regarding bodily injuries. Are there any cases in which bodily injuries are related to insurance fraud?
Yeah, when there was the war, this is a long time ago, but between 1991 and 1995, when the war in the Balkan was, between these different countries, Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, immediately we were confronted with life insurance crime cases. So there were dead people reported, they were life insurance, and insurance companies sometimes had problems because they were cheated. They sent detectives to the small villages, and then they had to learn that the person that was reported dead, shot or died, was still living and was happy.
He was alive and well and living on the insurance money.
So there happened some, it was not a big number, but some cases happened.
Regarding motor insurance, Bodily injuries are increasing, bodily injury claims are increasing from one year to another, especially in the emerging economies, like is Romania or Bulgaria or Greece. They still do not ask for compensations after a motor accident. How is that? How is the situation in the more developed countries? And do you believe that is this an opening towards insurance fraud?
Yeah, it can be, especially this hit and run. You are in a very crowded traffic situation, and one car hits the other one, and then immediately bodily insurance fraud can happen because they say, oh, I'm hurt in the back, I have so many problems, and then they ask for insurance recovery and coverage.
That is,
and very often you have to learn that this is just a fraud case and it's not a real case. But it's very difficult to prove it because you have to go to the hospital. If you are wounded by such an accident and you go to a normal hospital, it is a problem for the doctors working in the ambulance, in the Notfallsaufnahme, in the emergency room, to really check if this person has a problem or not. So he just make a report. Mr. X came to the hospital because he was involved in a motorcycle accident or in a motor vehicle accident, and he says he has problems with his neck. Nobody really is checking if these are real problems or just if he's cheating. And it is difficult to prove it. And then he gets some service, and to the insurance company he tells, well, I had so much problems, for 3 or 4 weeks I could not work. So these numbers are improving or are increasing, not improving. These numbers are increasing if there's more traffic. People speak to each other. They say, well, I got good money by the insurance company. You can do the same because a friend tells a friend, and immediately you have a problem. Because, you know, all the insurance system is based on mathematic models, and if too many people are cheating, then the system won't work anymore.
What is the motivation behind insurance fraud? From what you said earlier, it seems that regarding motor insurance, it's something more opportunistic to make some easy money. But can we also talk about something premeditated, organized?
In my understanding, it is so easy to commit fraud cases. Even an average, a man or a woman like you or everybody on the street, it's so easy to commit fraud, insurance fraud. You just sit down or you speak with a friend, write a report. So, in my understanding, when I was working as a police officer, and even later on investigating cases for AVUS group, 80% who commit insurance fraud are men and women like you and me. A smaller percentage, about 12%, they have some knowledge. They were working in the insurance industry, they are working in the automobile industry, and a very small number, maybe 3 to 5%, are organized. Even we had cases where terrorist groups financed their terrorist activities by insurance fraud. In the midst of the 70s, the RAF terrorists, the German terrorists, had a handbook, a booklet, how to make money by insurance fraud.
That seems almost...
And in 2005, the London attack in the subway was financed by credit card fraud.
Yes, so it is truly a serious
there's
problem.
always some links, even to terrorism, very little one. Mainly it's drug dealing and drug trafficking. If you watch internationally what is going on, Taliban and South American terrorists primarily finance their activities by drug trafficking. But in a small number of cases, you are even confronted with insurance fraud. And, of course, organized crime. That's so easy to do it.
Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
answers.